So what is up, everybody? Had some weird technical issues on that video today where it said I was broadcasting. It didn't show any broadcasting for about 4 minutes, but then when it processed, those 4 minutes were there, but it didn't show live, so I repeat the same thing on Nexium. So not my greatest video earlier today. I apologize about that. Karma's going to apologize for me as well. But one of the reasons I got such a late start today is that I did 90 minutes with Mick West of metabunk. I think it's metabunk.org, not .com, but don't quote me on that. Some of you may be familiar with him. Some of you may not. He's been Rogan a couple times, but we've kind of jawed back at each other via online media for at least 6 years, maybe 7 years, maybe more than that, right? And the thing is that he just came out with a book. I think it's called Escaping the Rabbit Hole. No, don't listen to Jason Burmis. He raises too many questions. However, one of the things I like about Mick is, number one, we're able to have a civil conversation with one another, which I think is so important, guys, because opposing viewpoints does not mean that somebody is automatically an agent or a bad person or somebody that's trying to lead you astray on behalf of some nefarious agenda, okay? Maybe they're a genuine person. 36 watching, 7 likes, let's thumb it up. And for those that don't know of Mick West's background, but only of Mick West and his website, he is a co-founder of Neversoft and one of the creators of the Tony Hawk games that were literally beloved by, man, today is tough. Hit that like button. We're going off the air and everything. So, going back to Mick West, he is a co-founder of Neversoft software, right? And he's that's games. And the thing about Neversoft is they had those huge hits. Come on, Carmen. No. They had those huge hits with the Tony Hawk games. And we were talking today. You need to go check it out because it's 90 minutes. And I'm going to give you the cliff notes of our conversation. But he got out right around Tony Hawk Underground, which was like the 5th iteration. I was huge into the 3rd and 4th one. Underground was the last one I played, but I found that, really interesting because big things that he's a debunker of is the controlled demolition of World Trade Center 1, 2, and 7. And yes, we even went over the latest clip from Ron Inahoff, the CNBC reporter, in regards to Building 7. So you can check out that. However, we both kind of decided, look, we're not on a neutral platform. We don't want to cut each other off and get this into an argument. So we'll do a 9/11 debate on some other platform. And I think that that's going to be a really good debate. But what we did here is we talked about mutual points of interest and disagreement. So he had just seen Invisible Empire. He watched it last night. And he said, obviously I don't agree with all of it. He's like, but there were definitely some parts in there that I thought you made good points. And for somebody that's, supposedly a professional debunker to admit that, that's really important. That's good. That's furthering the conversation. And we talked about everything from UFO phenomenon to actual extraterrestrials to deep fakes to 9/11 to mind control and well beyond, holograms, you name it. And there were some things we agreed on, and there were certainly some things we disagreed on. But what we didn't do was talk over one another, call each other names, and not further the conversation, okay? That's extremely important, right, Karma? For instance, one of the things, and believe me, we're going to do it again. I think I'm going to have him on for an hour on my show live, and we'll really get to crank through even some super chat questions from you guys as well. But one of the things he was able to do was talk about corruption on both sides. And with the Ukraine situation being in the news, that was a great example because, he was pretty much on the side of the mainstream media that it's a good thing that they might have an impeachment inquiry, not like they weren't frothing at the mouth over it, okay, for Trump because he broke the law with the Ukraine. And I said to him, well, to me, the scandal is the first scandal. Why is the scandal about the scandal now, right? We did that video yesterday. I said, look, I did a video in April on Biden and his son and him bragging that he had the prosecutor removed who was investigating his son at the CFR. And I said, why isn't that a scandal? Why is it a scandal that the president of the United States asked a leader to look into it? I go, I don't get it. That's how politics has always been done, except for in the last couple of years. Right, Karma? And I brought up the Hillary emails in particular. I said, the scandal to me was those emails. And he's like, well, don't you think that Russia had something to do with interfering with our election? I said, nowhere near the level that we've been led to believe. And I talked about, you know, the persona of Alice Donovan, who was writing these fake articles. And I talked about the fact that, you know, I didn't believe and still do not believe that those that started this investigation ever thought that there was Russian collusion. I said, look, man, I believe this to be a perjury trap. That doesn't mean I'm Team Trump. I feel like, hey, they wanted to get him. Where you going? They wanted to get him in the seat, just like they got Manafort in the seat, and they got his lawyer in the seat, and get him talking. I go, that's how they got Clinton. They didn't get Clinton because he was having an affair in his office. They got Clinton because he was having an affair in his office, and he lied about it. All right? So I think it was a conversation that needed to be had, that we'll have again, and was a positive one. I think that people often waste time attacking others in the quote-unquote alternative media, or even in the mainstream sometimes. Now, the mainstream does need to be discussed, and the top dogs that have literally millions, if not 10 millions of followers, they need to be talked about too when they're calling for war in Venezuela or their pro-Iranian conflict. And I do that from time to time. I get some flack for it, by the way. However, if you notice, I rarely talk about anyone else in the alternative media other than maybe Alex Jones in a non-positive light. Because if the only time I do that with Jones is when I think it's important. Like actually important, not because I'm attacking the guy, because I don't like the guy or something like that. I go, no, it's because it needs to be discussed, guys. He's got a huge audience, and when he lies to that audience, he should be held accountable. Now, you know, with somebody even like David Icke, I say, hey, you know, I never agreed with the lizard people, but at least he remained anti-war, right? So you got to take the good with the bad. And, you know, I don't make targets of people in the alternative media. For instance, I had Whitney Webb on yesterday. And Whitney Webb, if you have not seen that interview, did a great hour with me on, you know, what I would consider the cabal that is still around today. And believe me, that hour that we did together, although it was awesome, you need to sit down for 2+ hours and read the 2 articles we were referencing and the reference points in those articles. That's where you're going to find the really juicy stuff, the stuff about the Octopus Network, Danny Casolaro, BCCI, and things of that nature. However, you know, there was a little bit, and I, again, don't like to do the drama thing. There was a spat where Gabe Hoffman of An Open Secret was publicly challenging her to a debate. And I'm hoping they actually have that debate, because although I don't agree with everything An Open Secret puts out or everything that Gabe Hoffman does, I know that that is not only a powerful film to expose high-level Hollywood pedophilia, but they've also used that venue via Twitter. Oh, she's going strong, baby. They've used the venue via Twitter to also expose on a daily basis other high-level pedophilia outside of Hollywood, inside of government, inside of schools, inside of religious institutions, and beyond, to make people aware that this is a very, very real problem. 115 watch and 39 likes. Let's pump it up. So, although we may have differing opinions on certain matters, I, for one, think there is now extremely strong evidence that Epstein was some sort of intelligence, whether it be Israeli or United States, or a combination of both. You know, we've had those conversations. But I've heard what he has to say about the matter, and I would encourage an actual debate where both sides can present their evidence in a civil manner, and hostilities aren't needed. They're not needed. Our hostilities should be at that predator class that are trafficking in children, that are trafficking in drugs, that are trafficking in arms, that are above the law, okay? And there should be no political side that's given favor over another, period. You know, her stuff with Terry Reid, the CIA drug runner, and what he says Bill Barr was involved in as a fixer should not be ignored. Should not be ignored. It should be the opposite of ignored. It should be paid attention to And we should be saying, hey, maybe this guy's not the best guy in the world, and maybe that's why we're in such a clusterfuck of a situation with the Epstein case right now to begin with, because we didn't bring somebody in to stop whatever happened in that cell with the most important U.S. citizen, in my opinion, that's ever been jailed before in their lives. The one with the most connections and the most potential to bring down just more than Epstein, you know, and we're not even just talking about Ghislaine Maxwell and Groff and Kalin, you know, we're talking about the big dogs, the dogs like Leslie Wexner, Jean-Luc Brunel, and others that were in those, not only the black books, but in those different areas, whether it be Zorro Ranch, whether it be the mansion in New York, whether it be the mansion in Paris, you know, that were also taking part in this. And again, Les Wexner, you know, he's not just the limited guy. He's not just the Victoria's Secret guy. He is a man who very much decides or helps decide through think tanks, funding, and money, and groups like Mega and the Wexner Group, foreign policy that affects your sons, your daughters, your brothers, your sisters. And with that being said, you know, I'm doing 3 to 7 videos a day. We're definitely going to at least crank out 1 or 2 more later today. Make sure to thumbs this video up, share it with your friends. If you're not subscribed, now is the time to subscribe and join the Burmese Brigade as we go over things not only like Epstein, Nexium, but much more. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the flip. Karma, cut it out.